Well, good afternoon. You're joining the NCEES Using Staff Groups and PD playlist for 2021-2022. We are hosting this recording in WebEx meetings, and here are the housekeeping. We will take questions in the chat. Everybody can see the chat, and hopefully the questions will be answered. Anything we can't get to answer will be included in the frequently asked questions in the follow-up email. If you have any private questions, they can be entered in the QA, which you can locate under the three dots. And we also have closed caption enabled now. So if you would like to turn on closed captions, it's the little Martian looking guy and the CC in the little talk bubble. If there are audio issues, those can also be resolved under the three dots by switching which audio you are using to join this system with. Presenters for today, I am Cammie Nairn. I work in digital teaching and learning at NCDPI for home base, and I manage the NCEES education product. So any product questions you have about NCEES, I would handle. My colleague, Dr. Robert Socks, cannot join me today, but he answers all policy questions related to NCEES. Today's agenda will cover learning about staff groups in NCEES, how to create your staff groups, how to target announcements to staff groups, how to publish ad hoc reports to staff groups, how to use staff groups in the staff dashboard reports, and then we're going to take a look at the PD Office course settings with staff groups. We're going to wrap up today with learning about the PD playlist, who can create a PD playlist, and how you can include staff groups when you're using the PD playlists. We're going to begin today in our training site. So I'm going to ask you to pick a training user and log into our training site. You can, of course, follow along in your live system as well. So if you'd like to use a training site, we will be going to the training site in just a minute. The second link down is where you get the username to log into your training site. So we're going to click on this spreadsheet. And when it loads up, notice that you have several usernames to choose from. If somebody's using the username, their name will be in the very first column. So select an area, put your name in. So I'm just going to put name or initials in this box here. And I could actually use any of these people that are in these trainings people that are in this group right here. I'm going to use the principal. So I want to get this username. It's in column D, username, for this principal number 1. And I will copy that because that's what I'm going to log in with. Notice that the password for everybody is train with a capital T 2021. So now let's go back to our slides, and we're going to go to the training site. And when it loads up, we're going to put in our username that we copied, and we're going to put in that password, train with a capital T 2021, and log in. Now we'll go back and forth between the slides and the live site to show you some of the steps of what we're going to be talking about today. So here I am in as the principal. I can see I have a PD playlist link that we'll get to later. But we're going to learn first about going under system administration and navigating to staff groups. So I'll just show you that navigation real quick, and then we'll go back to the slides for a few minutes. So that was system administration. And under the system administration section, you'll see staff groups. So let's learn a little bit about staff groups. Staff groups are a means of grouping users together who share attributes, and this should facilitate an easier selection of that group in other areas of the NCEES portal. The staff groups can be utilized with targeting announcements that are sent out through NCEES or calendar events that are created in NCEES, publishing or sharing an ad hoc report to a group of users. You can filter a staff dashboard report by that group, that staff group. And PD creators, when you're recommending, requiring, or restricting a course, you are the ones that have access to staff groups. It is important to know that a site admin will only have the ability to add users from their site to staff groups. So you cannot add people from outside of your district, but anybody that is in your district that you have access to can be added to a staff group. The vendor uses staff groups to target plans and observations. So every year we have that end of year process. And when we start that new year, we target the plans to certain staff group types so that your comprehensive people will be on a comprehensive plan. Your principals will get principal plans. So that is how the vendor uses staff groups. So we're going to look at how we can use staff groups. How to create staff groups. Only site and district administrators can access staff groups. You can find some help in NCEES about staff groups by clicking on the question mark. That is the PowerSchool help, and it's in the top right of your navigation window. And there's a link there. This does have some good screenshots and step-by-step instructions, but some information in there may not fully apply in North Carolina. So we're going to navigate to staff groups, and I showed you that just a minute, and we'll go back live in just a minute. We clicked on System Administration, and then under the section for System Administration, we were going to click on Staff Groups. If you have no groups created right now, it will be blank, and you'll have a button to create a staff group. However, if a group has been created, you'll also see down at the bottom the group that's been created, and then you'll have some action items that you can take with that group. So you can click on the group name and get into the group. And on the left, you'll see different actions that you can use with the group, such as editing the group, deleting the group, or copying the group to create a new group. So let's actually go to the live side. You do have several slides with screenshots that you can refer back to as you work on the live side. So here we are. We've navigated to System Administration, under System Administration, and into Staff Groups. Once it opens your staff group window, you can see that this principal does not have any access to a staff group yet, but the principal can create a new staff group. The search filter is there for if you have several staff groups created, you can then search here for that group. You can add filters for these columns, the name, current members, created by, or last updated, if you want to filter a list of created staff groups. If you're going to filter, you're just going to select one of these. I like contains, and then I start typing in what the name might contain. Since we don't have anything here, there's nothing to do. But if there was, and I typed in the name, I could then click Update Table, and this page will process and find what I'm looking for. All right. So let's now go to Create Staff Group. Now I'm in my group, and notice at the top it's not yet titled. So I do need to create a title for my group. I'm just going to make this my um, group new teachers. So this is my group for my new teachers. Now I have a title. If you notice, I don't know if you saw the little pop-up there, but every once in a while you'll see a pop-up that says it's saving. So it does save as you go. I have two tabs down here below. I have group members and details and permissions. So I can add a dynamic rule to add group members. I can click on it to look at the different rules that I could use. So you'll only see the site. So I clicked on site. You can expand it on down to see what you have access to. You can do all my sites and it will select all the people that are in your site to be included in this group. So I don't want to use sites. So I'm going to turn that off. I could also do demographics. And I'm looking for new teachers or beginning teachers. So they are instructional staff. So under demographics, I can see instructional staff. So I'm going to click in here and see what I might want to use. So I could use a certification year. Maybe I want everybody that's in the first 3 years. So I could select those. I could select a classification. Now, classification is not really always clear in NCEES, and that's because the data fields that feed this classification code to NCEES vary by district. So I would stay away from classification because it doesn't always come in depending on what the district is using as a classification code. It may not show correctly in NCEES, and NCEES is not authoritative for that classification code. I could look at everybody that I've put on a comprehensive plan. Now, if I'm using the comprehensive plan for people that are not beginning teachers, I could do this and then later exclude those that show in the list um, that are not beginning teachers. So that might be an option to use. The other thing I can also use is the role. So teacher classroom is probably one I want to do, but this does not always give me all my beginning teachers. So I'm going to come back up here. I'm actually going to do maybe my license cycle years. So those should be coming in correctly. Just do the first two. All right, so this, we're going to take a quick look at what the rest of these are. Admin type, I wouldn't really use for this purpose. You will only see what you have access to, or it won't add anybody that you don't have access to. The current staff position, these are instructional teachers. If I come over here and use this demographics, I'm already under instructional, so I don't really need to use this one. The role, so there's all different kinds of types of roles in NCEES. You can try these, but there's not really a role for beginning teacher. And then finally, we have custom fields. So you could go search by these custom fields. All right, let's see what it does when I click add. I don't know if my test people are included with cycle years, so I don't know if it's going to add anybody, but we're going to try it. We are in the test site, so sometimes that's a work in process. And it did. It added me some staff that I have access to that are in that range of cycle years. So that's adding a dynamic rule to add people to this list. Now, here's a manual way. I don't have to use a dynamic rule. So I could manually add members here. Let's see if I have any other members that this didn't pick up. So I'm going to click add members. I'm going to click add user. And we have add user advanced. Let's first look at add user. And think about what different types of groups you may want to create. You may have your residency teachers that are new this year. You may want to create a group just for them. You may have a group of people that you're working on to help with growth under certain goals, and they all need to work together. You may create a group of them. You can create all kinds of groups out here. So here I went to add users, and I'm only going to see people that I have access to. So notice these two in the middle don't have a box out here on the left. That's because they're already in my list. So maybe I also want to include this other teacher in the list, and I could check that box. So I'm going to check it and click add. And now notice when I added them manually, I get this little chain link icon and it tells you down here, availability has changed or this person has been added as an individual manually. So these participants will not automatically be updated when populations change. Now this group up here, if I were to hire somebody else that was included in these license cycle years, they would automatically be added to my list because this is a dynamic rule. So it's going to add anybody that it sees in this cycle year, no matter what point in the year that they join our district. Now, if I hadn't added somebody that I wanted to exclude, I didn't mean to add them, I could delete them with the X, or I can just exclude them because I might want to add them back later. So now if they're excluded, see they're crossed out. All right, and then here's a button to clear any overrides that I've done. It will give you a little warning about doing those. Let's see what happens. All right, so it took out my manually added person, but it left those that are in the dynamic role. If I wanted to print a list of what's on this page, I could download a CSV here. I'm done with this group, so I'm going to click Done. And now notice I have a new group. I could click on the name, and it takes me back into my group. I have another section over here that says Details and Permissions. So let's take a quick look at that. This is going to be an area where you can add a description of what this group is. You can also, the first three, they automatically are targeted to this group, can be used for evaluations and programs in the system. It can be used for legacy observations. It can be used for current observations. Do I want to use this group for course targeting? These are new teachers, so probably yes, I do. I may want to target them to take some courses later. I can recommend courses or require them to take a course by just targeting the staff group. So that's why I might want to check that box. This one on the right is, do I want anybody else to help me manage this group? So this is the permissions section on the right. So you would search in here, you not search, you're going to have to add somebody. So add user, we won't go through all that again, but it's just the same way. You're going to click add user, search for somebody in the system that you want to help you manage this group, and you would add them and their name would show up here. And then they can help manage this group. So you've got your details and permissions. You can add the group to be available for course targeting. It's already available for any observation activities or evaluation programs and reporting. The group members were added dynamically or manually. There's my staff group. So let's go back to the slides. And let's just review real quick. We went to create a staff group. We entered a title. The system does auto save as you go. We entered a group description. And you can allow the group to be used for PD course targeting by checking that final box in the list on the left under details and permissions. You can add members with permissions to the staff group, and that gives them edit rights to this group. We talked about adding the members either dynamically or manually adding members. And we looked at the list. So we looked at adding the dynamic rule. Now, the dynamic rule, we didn't talk about this little include here. This rule can either include people in this group or exclude people in this group. So if you added a rule that added a bunch of folks to the group and down below, and maybe you can see where maybe I can add a dynamic rule that it excludes certain people by whatever parameter I set, I could add an exclude rule as well. You can play with adding multiple dynamic rules. I would just be careful not to add too many. Just play with that and see what list you get, if that helps you sort your list down to what you need. We looked at using the dynamic rules windows. The ones with the X's, I suggest you don't use. Sometimes it returns more people than what you need to see in the group. The main ones I would look at would be using the site or the demographics or the custom fields to dynamically or add people to your group. And then we looked at manually adding people to the group. We looked at our group once it was created. There are the little actions on the left where you can edit your group or delete your group or copy your group. If you click copy, it makes a new group and it puts the word copy. You can always click into it and change the title of the group, change the members in the group. It's just a way maybe you want to start with this group and maybe you're making a larger group that includes those people. You could copy this group and then go change your rules, change your title, anything like that. And then managing your group, we looked at excluding people from the group. When we looked at when people are manually added, they get the little chain icon. We looked at removing people from the group with the X on the right. And we looked at clearing all manual overrides. It takes out everything that was added manually, but it will keep any dynamically added people in the list. We also looked at downloading a CSV of the list on the page. So next we're going to take a look at targeted announcements. There is a guide out there for you. I've linked on this slide deck to how to create targeted announcements. Targeted announcements go out and the people receive them and it looks like it's sent from no reply at PowerSchool.com. So usually when I send out a targeted announcement, I include a sentence that says, please do not reply to this email. And if I do have an sending out an announcement that I do want people to reply to, I will include in the announcement where they can send questions because they should not reply to the no reply at powerschool.com. You can send announcements or emails or both with targeted announcements. So sending a targeted announcement to staff groups, again, this is only a site and district administrator ability to do. So staff group targeted announcements. Let's go look at how we get to those. So we're going to go back to system administration. And over here on the left, we're going to go down to the second section, the application section. And right here, you're going to see targeted announcements. It's got a little orange bullseye right there. Targeted announcements. All right, so this user has not created any new announcements yet. And before we get deeply into that, when you're targeting an announcement and you want it to go just into the system and not to an email, it's going to show up for staff under their My Messages icon. It will also show up on their My Evaluation page. I have a container out there that also shows any announcements that were set out. Let's take a quick look at that, see if we can see that. You can right click on any link in NCEES and open it in a new tab so you don't lose where you're working at. Here's that My Announcements area. It's the same as this link here, but it also shows up because the staff are usually going to their My Evaluation and then they're going to see their My Announcement. So we have several tabs here. Let's start creating a new announcement. All right, so maybe let's do PDP self-assessment is due October 21st. And you can put a title in, put in your announcement text. Of course, this is, and look, you can format it in any way you like. It's got all the widgets to do all the formatting, to add links, to add pictures. So you can create a real email or notice with all of that capability in there. The delivery method, you need to decide, am I just going to send this as a targeted announcement and it's going to show up in this envelope? Or do I want to send just an email? And then your emails must be coming in to NCEES correctly. NCEES pulls emails in from PowerSchool system first. So your student information system, PowerSchool, whatever email is showing there, that comes in first for teachers. If that teacher is not in NCEES for some reason, or you're emailing a group of people that are not in NCEES, the emails come in from your HR data files. If you're using Link HR, it looks there first. If it's not in Link HR, it's going to look in HRMS, or districts that don't use any of those should be manually uploading to DPI their HR data. It will look in there. You can send to both. I'm just going to select both. I don't ever click the override the email privacy options, and I definitely don't want to disable this announcement at this time. So we're just going to select email and targeted announcement. You can, excuse me, you can send yourself a test email, or you can just save this and select your recipients that it needs to go to. Okay, so the first thing I want to draw your attention to is this large number over here. This is how many users are in the system, active and inactive. So we need to set some parameters on who this is going out to. And since we're talking about staff groups right now, I'm not going to go through a lot of these, but we're going to start at the top. When do I want this message to go out? You click the little calendar widget. And I know I said this was October, um, but I'm recording this on December. So you would actually have the dates to choose from for when you want it to go out. And then when do I want my message to expire? I do want it to expire. I don't want it to stay out there forever. So maybe in 2 weeks I'll have that expire. All right. And then do I want this to dynamically republish? So if during this time period I add some new beginning teachers, do I want them to get this message? So that would be a yes. So I click set dynamically republish and I say automatically republish. So that's another dynamically adding a something to do. So if I hire that new beginning teacher, they will get that message. Set account status. That's asking if you want to send this message to active or inactive accounts, or all active and inactive. I usually just select active. Say continue. Set staff position. Set admin rights. Well, those are delved into in the help guide. Set locations. I actually want to do set staff groups. So we're scrolling all past this and we're going to go to set staff groups. Here is the groups would list here, and I would select who I want, which group to send this message to. If I have more than one group in this list I want to send to, you need to hold your control key on your keypad and then click each one you want to send to. Then click continue. Now, notice my number here. I'm sending to 2 recipients because that's who's in my staff group. If I want to look at them, I can click show recipient list and it will pop up those 2 teachers right there. 1 and 2. All right, so I can just verify, yes, those are the people I want to send to. And then I'm going to click finish. And it asks me, are you sure you're ready to send this? And I'm going to say yes, or I can cancel it. And then you probably have to go back through and reset everything if you cancel. Oh, it says I must choose a location. All right, so it's only going to give me a location of what I have access to. So if you have access to more than one location, you're going to have to select which one to add. So I need to add it. And now it's added down here. If I selected the wrong location, I could remove it, remove all or remove selected. Don't want to remove it. Click done. I don't think I had any other red areas. So I'm going to try to finish again. I'll say, yes, I want to send this. Okay, and now it's sending. If there's any pending announcements, they should show here. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for something that's just been set to show up. I've never really seen anything in pending. Most of the time I see it inactive. So it should immediately start sending. Now, it does send out if you're sending to a large group. PowerSchool has a mail gun that sometimes is a little slow. So if you're sending it to a real large group, I would break it down a little bit and send them out to a smaller group. And I'm talking about large, like 5,000, that kind of group. Most of the time, your staff groups are not going to be that large. So this should go out fairly quickly. It starts sending, throughout the day. So those should go out. Once you're once you, sorry, you just look at the actions. So here, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see all of that. Under the actions, you could edit what you just sent out. You could expire it now. If everybody's got the message, you want to go ahead and disable the announcement, you can expire it now. You can disable it, you can delete it, or you can view recipients from here. Once it does actually expire, it tells you over here what the expire date is. It will show up under the expired tab. For messages that you sent out with only email recipients, they would show up under this tab. And then the all tab will show everything that you've sent out. So that's targeted announcements. It's a good way to get some messages out to your staff through a staff group. All right, so we're going to go back to the slides just a minute. Remember to keep an eye on this number here to verify who you're sending out this group message to. And we did skip over some of this, so we have some other webinars that explain all of those little sections in there. And in the guide, you can use that to read more about setting this if you're not sending to a staff group. But today we were focused on sending a message to a staff group. You can also publish ad hoc reports to a staff group. Only district administrators can create and publish an ad hoc report, and only site and district administrators can run reports. So I'm currently in as a site administrator. I'll see if I have another screen I can bring over to show you. I could be myself and show you how to get to ad hoc reporting. But we're going to look under system administration, ad hoc reporting restricted. Um, I see ad hoc reporting as a super user in the system, but you, as a local user in the system, see ad hoc reporting restricted. And restricted just means is that the results from the report that you're going to run will be restricted to your rights, access rights, and location rights. So that's the only reason that word restricted is there. It's just going to tell you that you're only going to get results in a report in ad hoc from what you have the rights to get. So only the people you have rights to and only the locations you have rights to. And then there's the reporting tab as well. Ad hoc reports can be published to a group. So if I created a group of my site administrators that I wanted to create an ad hoc report for all my principals to run, then I could target that to a staff group. There is a guide out here for creating your ad hoc reports. And then you're going to select staff groups to choose a staff group to share the report with. Let's see if we can see that. So if I go to System Administration and I go to Ad hoc Reporting Restricted, right here, and say I want to run like a people report. So let's go find a people report. I'm not going to go through all how to create a report. So I'm just going to keep what's in here right now. And I'm going to do a save as. Let me put a name. I might want a name in here for us first. So I'm going to get that in there. I have to refresh. It's not let me type in there. Must be trying to get somewhere. Ah, there we go. I don't know what that was doing. So here's a test report. Maybe I want to find first names and last names, and I'm going to keep out employee IDs. Maybe don't want that. You can uncheck what you don't want to show on the report and check what you do want to show on the report. Maybe I want to find out what everybody's PDP type is. And then I can go into all my sites and it will pull data there. Let's see if I have access. All right, let's see if we get something. So we're going to do a test report. Pretty much just want to show you how to publish it. So I'm going to save my report, do a save as. All right, so here's my report. And if I want to publish it to somebody right now, it says this report is not published to any users at this time. So I want to target it to a group. Cross my fingers that we have some groups to target to. And it's the same parameters. I'm just going to publish it on today's date. I'll expire it tomorrow. I could add all of this stuff. And remember, we needed to have a location. All right, so I'm going to add this to the people I have access to. I click done. And I'm sending to 800 folks. And now let's see if I can set a staff group. All right, so here's our staff groups. So maybe I want to send to this group here to be able to run this report. And I'm going to click continue. And so it's pretty much the same thing that we just did. I'm not going to finish this, but see, now I can send out, I've targeted this group to be able to run this report. Now, the only people that can run reports under the reporting tab, and if you're zoomed in, you may find it under this little drop down. The only people that can run reports here are your site administrators or your district administrators, and that's the admin type in NCEES of district admin or site admin. So remember that when you're targeting a report to be run by somebody, they must already be site administrators or district administrators to be able to run that. So that's targeting a report, an ad hoc report out so others can run. All right, site administrators and district administrators also have access to an area called Staff Dashboard, and you can run reports in the Staff Dashboard. So this is in System Administration, under System Administration, and Staff Dashboards, and we'll go take a look at that. So this is just a screenshot here of what the Staff Dashboard page looks like, and the different reports that you can run. So there's the group dashboard here. You can get reports on portal access. The best one on this page is the days since last login. If you're trying to find out, people are telling you, oh yeah, we logged in yesterday. You can actually come out here and click that little spreadsheet right there and see when they actually last logged in, and it puts it in groups. So did they log in within the last 14 days, or has it been 90 or more days since they logged in? That report will show you that. You also have a course completion reporting tab, and we'll look at that. You can come in here and put a course number in here, like maybe the mentor course that you wanted some folks to take, a group to take, and you can use the little commas around it. I know the mentor course is number 35. Put the little parens around it so that it only finds a course with the number 35, the course number 35, or if you don't put the parens around it, it's going to return all courses with the number 35 in it. You don't need to fill out all the fields, just the course number is fine. You can look at the details, how many people in the group have registered, not registered, or completed that course. You can do a summary also as well. And summary is just percentages of how many have registered, not registered, or completed. And of course, you can uncheck any of those three boxes if you're only looking for who has completed, or who has registered, or who has not registered. So let's look at that page real quick. And that again, that if you're zoomed in, some things may fall off the page. So just go under this little arrow and it'll be in that little drop down. So here I am in system administration and I want to go to staff dashboards. Looks like it's taking a little bit to load. Give it just a minute. Okay, so here I am on my staff dashboard. The first area that I noticed that I can go select a staff group is right here at the bottom. So you can load people up on this page by looking for them by what site they're located at, by demographics. Maybe I only wanted to look at all my counselors, and I can go in here in demographics and look at the roles. And maybe I just wanted to select a role to pop up there. So and then a list of my counselors will show up. Apparently I don't have any, so I'm going to clear that since this is our test site. You can search by staff, and this is where you can use any of these parameters to search by. Or I can load up a saved staff group. So here's my group of new teachers, and here they are. If I click group by site. So say I had loaded up all my instructional staff. I could group them by site if I was like a district admin or somebody that had access to more than one school site. This person only has access to one site. So checking group by site really doesn't do anything but put the name of the site up here. And then you have each of your teachers are listed here or whoever you pulled up in this group. So here's teacher one, teacher two, and you can click on them to get additional information on them. So play with all of these areas out here. Look, you can go see somebody's transcript from here. You can go see what courses they registered for. You can see what plans and evaluations they're on. North Carolina is currently not using the credentials. Up here at the top, notice we're under the individual information. Here's the group dashboard. This is where you can select that portal area and you can run the reports here with, I don't know, these test teachers will pull up on this. But it'll, yep, days since last login. So teacher two has not logged in over a year. So over 365 days ago. Teacher one logged in between 31 and 90 days ago. Right? And then you have group reports out here that you can run. We really don't use these a lot. We have better reports under the reporting tab. You can play with those and see if they bring you any information that you would like to have. And then, of course, there's the course completion reporting that I did tell you about. And I don't know if these training teachers have any completed courses, but this is how you would enter like a single course number. And then do I want to know if they're registered, not registered, or completed? Sure, we only got two people. Let's look at any details. Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, and it gives me all their information, and it shows me that neither one of these teachers have registered for that mentor course. If I were to look at a summary of that, I don't get names, I just get percentages. So here I have two people that were returned, two of those were not registered. So 100% of them have not registered for that course. Okay, so let's look back at our slides. Remember, only site and district administrators can access staff dashboards. We looked at the navigation to get there, how to pull up a staff group once you are in the staff dashboard, and then what reports can you run with that staff group. Course completion, how long have they logged in, things like that. All right. Now, those of you that are using a PD Office in NCEES, in the course settings, you can restrict, recommend, or require uh, a group to take that course. So you must have a PD Office in NCEES, and you must have opted into Homebase to have that PD Office in NCEES. So if you are in NCEES, and we have a whole webinar on creating courses, we talk about doing the settings on a course. So here are the three areas where you could potentially select a group to be targeted to. So there's the required demographics, the recommended demographics, and the restricted demographics. So if I go in here and click, I want to set required demographics, I could click on this user groups tab, search for a user group that contains the name of my group. When it populates down below, I would check the box and I would enable that group to be required to take that course. It doesn't sign them up for the course. It does show on their My Courses page under a container that says required training. So you would still have to follow up by email or announcement. Hey, I've added you to be taking this course. You're going to find it on the required demographics. They don't have to go search for the course. You've already added it to them. they can go in their required training container and start that course. So that's all about staff groups. I hope you found that informative. We're also going to take a quick look at the PD playlist. NCDPI must set access to the PD playlist, and we give that main role, which is called the moderator. I need to set one or more of your moderators to be able to create PD playlists. You can open a ticket. You can email me to let me know that you need to be added to the PD playlist. All right. Notice this is one part of PD that does not have to have a PD office to be able to do. Because what you're actually going to be doing is adding published courses that are in NCEES to a playlist and then getting that out to a certain group of people to take those courses and follow the dashboard to see what kind of progress they're making. So here's one progress status board. So this district said we want to follow all of the ECATS courses on all of our staff and see what level of process they are making in the courses we want them to take. So you're going to set up the rules for the PD playlist and target it out to the group or to certain folks out there. And here they've added all the ECATS courses at the top. The red star means you set this to be required course for them to take. And then as they complete each course, you will see a green check mark. So this first person started off good, but then they've not followed up as well as the two in the middle. The two in the middle have completed everything but one. And then the one on the bottom, they're got into about two of the courses, and the ones, all these dash marks means they have not started those courses. PD playlists can also you can also add additional credit and give them a certificate for completing the playlist. So apparently they added this course later because these two do have a certificate for completing all of these courses. This might have been added at a later point after they completed these other courses. I do think this was a newer course that was added later. But yes, they get this certificate. This certificate does not need to be added. It's optional. When people complete each of these courses, they do get the usual certificate on their transcript for course 1, course 2. As they complete, they will have those other certificates. This is just an additional certificate that says, hey, you completed the whole playlist. Congratulations. Here are some sample playlists that districts are using. I just want to put that out there so you can kind of see what people are putting together in a PD playlist. But it can use any PD courses that are published in NCEES, and that's the DPI courses that are published, or if your district is creating your own learning opportunities, those are available as well to put in a playlist. And we'll take a quick look at setting that up, but here's some of the rules on a playlist. So you're going to create a playlist. You're going to put the number of courses that you want added in here. You're going to decide if they're elective or if they're required courses. And if you do have elective courses, what's the rule? Do they need to complete all of them, part of them? And up here, I find the rule on this playlist is complete the 2 required courses and 2 of the 4 elective courses. So they will not show complete in the playlist until they've met that rule. It also tells you what the different icons mean on this page. The gray dash is not started, the purple dots are in progress, and the check mark is complete. It will also show you if this is an instructor-led course by the group icon that's in front of the course, or if it just has one Head and Shoulders, that's a self-paced course. So there are playlist roles, and they support the creation and management and operation of PD playlists. The PD playlist moderator is responsible for creating and managing the PD playlist. And that includes adding participants, adding the courses, managing any notifications going out, and moderating the discussion if you're going to use the discussion in the PD playlist area. Remember, this role must be set by DPI. We also have a PD playlist curator, and the moderator sets this role. The moderator can create a PD playlist. They can set somebody else to moderate that playlist as well, and they would only moderate the playlist that the moderator added them to. This is another role on a playlist, a curator role. This person cannot change the playlist, edit it in any way. What they can do is add people to the playlist or remove people from the playlist. And then there's a credit approver. I don't think we have anybody really using this, but they're responsible for reviewing and approving PD playlist credit requests. And so that's when the extra credit comes into play. And then, of course, you have your PD playlist participant. How are your participants going to get on the playlist? Are you going to publish the playlist and tell people to go find it under professional development? Or are you going to manually add people to the playlist? So we're going to look at creating a PD playlist. I've linked the guide for that here. And we're just going to go look at creating a playlist real quick. All right, so at the top of your page, you have PD playlists. And if you're in your own site, you will not have that unless you have been assigned as a moderator or have been given assigned rights as a curator to a PD playlist. All right, so let's create a PD playlist over here on the right on the blue button. So I need create a title for my playlist. It is required, and again, most of the areas that are required in NCEES will have an asterisk, so you'll see that. Okay. There is a release button over here. When you're ready to release this playlist, you must click that. So nobody can view it until you release your playlist, but I'm not ready to release it yet. The title is required. Description is not required, but you can put in a description, and again, it has all the widgets to make it pretty. When do you want this playlist to start? Do you want the playlist to have an end date? It can go maybe through the end of the school year. All right. Do I want to include this in the course catalog? So can people go to professional development and find it? Then I would check this box. If I'm just going to be manually adding participants or adding them by a staff group, then I don't need to include it in the course catalog unless I want to. Do I want to enable a playlist certificate? I can click that. Do I want to add any other moderators? It's the same thing we've seen before when you're searching for votes. Just come in here and check who to add. You can add other moderators. Do be careful. This you might see in some of these areas with PD areas names outside of your district. So be very careful when you're adding. Make sure you match up the UIDs and all of that when you're adding staff. Remember the curator. You can add a curator, somebody that can add people to the playlist. Just going to add a curator. I'm going to be the moderator. I have a curator that can add additional staff. And if I want to have any materials I want to include, I can attach a file there. It does have a limit on it of 20 megabytes. And then do I want to add credit for extra credit for the transcript for completing this playlist? I could say, yeah, you can have point 0.2 credits for completing the playlist. You can submit it for approval, which we have not set that process up. I'm just going to save this. All right, so that should be saved. There's a couple pages in here. Oh, it's spinning good. Okay, so here I have my participants list. Who do I want to add to this? You can hide participants, you can allow participants, you can allow participants to withdraw. But all of this is included in another webinar. So let's see if we can add participants. And again, here we have this dynamic rule. We have add members, and we have add user advanced, add staff group. Let's see if I can find my staff group. Here's my group of new teachers. All right, so I click the plus sign, and if you'll see in the background, it added my group. So I'm going to close this. And here I have my new teachers added. And group new teachers, it took a minute to populate there, are now included in this group. And they can take that playlist. Go back. All right, so do watch this. Oh, this is a good message. Sometimes it does take up to 24 hours to fully process who you've added to the list. If it takes longer than that, open a ticket and we'll see what's going on. I've had a couple times where that's happened. Most of the time it happens pretty quickly to add people to the list, but it will take a little bit of time to add people to the list. You're going to add your courses here. But do watch that other webinar. Pretty much, we just wanted to look at today how to add your staff group. I will add a couple courses. You'll have a list here. You can filter it. The training site doesn't have a lot of courses in it. These are beginning teachers. Let's see. Let's give them course 1 and course 2 there and add those. I'll click done. There's my courses. Remember, we can make one an elective and one required. And you can say you must complete that elective here, or you can leave it at 0 and make it optional for them to complete the elective. Here's the discussion board. You're getting the quick version of PD playlist here today. Allow participants to add courses. I've never seen anybody use that, but you could do it if you wanted. Now, your moderator is the moderator of the discussion board. So I don't know of anybody that is using this yet. So if you do, I would love to hear how it goes. But you can add topics, general topics, all topics. We're not going to go through all that. You can create new threads out here. So you do have a discussion board on a playlist to utilize. So it might be a good area to manage topics around your PD playlist out there. The other thing you can do is add notifications, and you probably want to set this up before you set up your participants, because you can send a message to the participants when you add them to the list. Just create all that, decide does it need to go out in an announcement under the envelope or in the email or both. So just like the targeted announcement. And then do I want to send a message when they have completed the playlist? Just fill out the required sections. Remember to watch for the asterisks. Decide how the message should go out and then save it. So set that up before you add your participants if you want to send messages. And then lastly is your status area. And I don't think we're going to see anything here if they've not processed yet. Yep. It's not available at this time, but once it processes, then you'll see the progress icons. Okay, so we're going to wrap up our session for today. We just learned how to add a staff group to a PD playlist. And remember to notify DPI if you need to be added to be able to create playlists. And remember, we didn't go back and release that playlist, so they couldn't do anything with it until I release it. So make sure you do release your playlist. Okay, and I have a bunch of slides out here to go through all the steps that we just went through. Adding materials, adding courses. You can add participants dynamically. We added them with a staff group. Adding people manually, just like we looked at earlier in the other area of NCEES. Enabling discussion boards. Enabling notifications on the playlist. Set that before you add your participants. Remember to release your playlist. And then using and looking at the PD playlist status once the playlist participants have processed and they're live on the status page. All right, so we're going to look at all the resources that we have for you today. A lot of people say, well, there's so many courses out there, don't know what's out there. I do have a catalog list published on our NCEES Google site. And when you get to that link to view the whole playlist, you can click. There's a little gray box here because it's hard to see in that little window. I try to update this quarterly because we have new courses added every so often by our DPI divisions. They publish new courses all the time. So I do try to update this quarterly. And then, so you're going to see course numbers, course titles, what kind of learning opportunity type is it? Is it instructor-led? Is it self-paced? Am I going to be in Moodle or am I going to be in DPI's Canvas? Which division created the course? So sometimes you have questions about a course. You can come out here and see which division created the course that you are working in. Most of the courses are created by our NCVPS division, so they handle a lot of the courses, but there are other divisions that are creating courses out here. So that would be if you have a DPI contact for that division, if you have questions about the course you're taking. And then what credits are you going to earn? How much credits are you going to earn? And what type of credit are you going to earn? Course descriptions out here. If there are any notes on the course, if it's been aligned to any subjects or any competencies, like this has been aligned to Element 1A. So maybe I'm looking for goals to meet under Element 1A. This might be a course that I can take. You get the course number, you go back to NCEES, you search for the course number, and then you can start your course. You can make a copy of this. It is view only if you want to manipulate it yourselves for easier sorting or viewability. All right, and then NCBPS, they used to have a site when it was under educator support called rt3nc.org. That site is no longer viable. They created a new site under ncvps.org, professional learning. These courses are also listed in the spreadsheet I just showed you, but these are just under NCVPS. These are their courses. And they have a very nice search here. You can drill down into each course, read descriptions about their courses. Again, you must go back into NCEES to search for the course title or the course number if it's listed, and to be able to start the course. Our NCEES Google site has a lot of good information. Um, if you're looking for manuals for teachers, principals, support staff, if you're looking for, sorry about that, if you're looking for other webinars, those are out there, all kinds of information. This is a great site go find NCEES information. And then thank you for attending today. The NCEES webinar feedback form link is going to be included, and we will share that out. And if you want to receive a certificate for watching this 1 hour webinar, the certificate is worth 0.1 CU general credit type. You can send that, complete this form. The last two questions are, do you want to receive a certificate? Please enter your name and email address. When you do that, you will receive an email from our Qualtrics form with your webinar certificate. It looks like this on the page in it, and you can print it out and turn it into your district for approval. DPI is not approving the credit. It must be turned into your district for approval. And if it fits a different credit type, that would be also under your district's approval decision. Here is a list of your niece's contacts. And if you ever want to schedule time with me, I do have a Calendly office hours. So this is linked on this slide. We have 30-minute appointments, and I'm glad to jump on and walk you through any of what you saw here today, and just talk you through setting up and beginning to use those staff groups and PD playlists in NCEES. So thank you for joining me today. I hope this was informative.